Hey guys, I'm Jaxo0 and today we're going to be analyzing and reacting to the new Hello Neighbor 2 trailers, images, and more. So, if you guys don't know, just like today basically, Hello Neighbor 2's beta got announced to be released in 2022, April 7th to be exact. And if you pre-order the game, you'll be able to access the beta until the game actually releases. So the game's going to be releasing pretty dang soon. But for now, I'm going to be reacting to these trailers, which I will show you, and then I'm going to be analyzing each part of it. So let's begin. What the? The guest. Okay, so he's like, the guest exists. Whoa! What is he doing?
Welcome to Hello Neighbor 2. In this game,
sign's
you'll be
green
playing
again.
as Quentin,
Bro,
a journalist
the art style has
investigating
changed
a
so
series
much.
of missing persons cases in the open world of Raven Brooks. Create your own adventure as you interact with a host of new characters and take on the infamous Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, there's like a lot of new characters.
Who has been hiding from police and is now designed.
Oh, he's okay. So he's gonna be in the museum. It's like Gray Manor.
No one.
I wonder if that's like
Everyone's a
canceled.
suspect.
Yo, that guy looks so good, dude. So that's like, that's the guy's like house, I guess. Gun. Okay, you gotta get from there. What to do with that? Dude, the models look so good. Well, there's a dog. Dude, there's so much AI right now. Okay, so the mayor, that's the mayor's place. What's he doing? He's like dancing. Whoa, this looks insane. Dude, the models though. They use a lot of creative puzzles, man. I can't believe the guest is here. I'm very glad he's not canceled. Okay, this looks new for the museum.
Get your hands on the exclusive closed beta for Hello Neighbor 2 with
dude, I
pre-order
can't
starting
wait.
April 7th, 2022.
I'm gonna stream this. April 7th. Let's go. So let's begin. So, in the first part of this trailer, Quentin is basically hiding in this barn thing, I think. You can see it later in the images, and across the window is the museum, so you can see in comparison where it is to the museum. So basically in this barn, Quentin is distracting the guest with a fake child. So I guess the guest just likes to kidnap kids apparently a lot, because he's going after this kid, and you can see on this whiteboard or chalkboard right next to him that his plan is to go through the window and then snap pictures of him while he's trying to get that fake child, basically, which is what happens. So you can see Quentin gets a few photos of him. So even in this picture, you can definitely see that as a fake kid, basically. So you see the guest kind of to attack him. So then later in the trailer, you see that he's trying to get into it after he saw that he took pictures of him, and Quentin boarded it up so the guest couldn't get in. But the guest is pretty strong, and he managed to break that board in one hit. And he's gonna try to get through, basically. When he gets through, it plays like a weird animation. I can't tell if Quentin like took a photo of the guest or something when he went through, but he kind of like topples over almost. So we don't fully know what happens, but I'm guessing he probably takes a picture of him, which like, I don't know, phases him or whatever. After that, we see Quentin just driving in his car with his coffee, and he's looking at the sign, which is now green. So that's interesting, because it went from green to red, and now it's back to green. In this part of the trailer, you can see like just a little outline of Raven Brooks. I'll get back to this later. So now here, let me just break down this scene for a second. So basically, Quentin's going down the street. He's just looking at the neighbor, or not the neighbors, the police, and the police are actually investigating him. So Quentin is taking a missing poster, which I remember in the books, Nikki took a missing poster. People thought he did, and they were like, "Bro, why are you taking missing posters of children? That's kind of weird." But that's because Nikki was drawing on the back of them. Now Quentin's just gonna take one here anyways. But that means that obviously they still know that Maya is, well, they don't know that Maya is gone. So basically, I think she's just missing. Now this drawing, you'll see in another video that this is actually a drawing from the museum. I'm curious to what it really means. So it's just a man. He's telling the daughter to go up to the attic, and she's holding a bunny. Now, I don't think the bunny has to do with it or anything, but the fact that he has it on his wall is kind of odd. So I think it's a connection to the guest and how he likes to trap kids in his attic. So right now, I'm pretty sure the Gray Manor, which is like the fan name for a Hello Neighbor house, is actually canceled. I'm not totally sure of that, but right now we just see that he's in the museum. So I'm guessing that the Gray Manor is probably canceled, and he's probably just going to stay in the museum. But we have not seen it yet, so we're not fully sure. Now, the taxidermist, we all know what taxidermist is. So, they like stuff animals, basically. And he's just going to shoot a duck there. And then, basically, Quentin is like knocking on his door, or doing the doorbell. And I guess this is his house, or his station. One thing I noticed about the windows is they're the same windows from Hello Neighbor 1. I'm going to go into detail about the map when I get to the images, just so we can get into further detail of how the art style has evolved. So you can see here, you can see a bunch of animals on his wall. You can see an alligator, I think, and some kind of deer skull. So I guess you gotta try to take his gun. Next scene is just the Peterson house at night, basically. So, see, you can see the police officer, he has a yellow key. So I wonder what that goes to. It could go to the basement, I'm not sure. So you gotta take the donut. And the basement door actually takes a while to open, so which I'll go into after this. So basically, I guess he's taking a donut from him. And that's just like one of the distractions they have. You can also use it to like distract them themselves, so they go away. But in this case, they're using the dog. Now you see that key on that statue? That is pretty important. You're gonna need that. You also see a dog, so I don't know the dog's name. They haven't said it yet, but this is basically the mayor's office. So you can see stairs going up to here. And I don't know what that statue is, who that is of. Maybe the other mayor, Mayor Tavish, which he was the past mayor that got revoked of being a mayor because it was revealed that he was a force protector. I don't know if it was fully revealed, so he didn't go to jail. Or he just didn't do any, like, I don't know, just all the bad stuff that they did. So basically, he didn't go to jail, but he did not become a mayor. So that's possible that it's him holding the key. Up next is the mayor himself. So the mayor, from what I've seen, he likes to dance a lot, and his house is like pretty big though overall. I'm not sure exactly what, you know, bro. You're just saying stuff. So you can see his bedroom. He's taking the bear head and using it on the bear for the taxidermist. I'm guessing he got it from the taxidermist, the mayor. And that opens up the taxidermist's attic, which was like in the description, so we know that exists. We knew that. But anyways, this is just a shot of Mr. Peterson. It's got some nice music. The game is pretty shiny. Now, I'm not fully sure what this is. I'm pretty sure this is actually just a shower right here, because you can see the shower curtain. I can't fully tell, but I think that's just a shower curtain right there. And he's just going to be looking at that missing poster for some reason. Wonder if that's like another way he can take it. So there's the catch animation. It looks kind of like Hello Neighbor Alpha 1. So that's all for this trailer. I will be going over the next trailer, which is a 5-minute video of like actual gameplay, which is pretty cool. So this is Quentin's office. So basically you get the exclusive beta on April 7th, 2022 if you pre-order the game. Okay guys, this is the part where I'm going into a little bit more detail on this game. Looks like Quentin is waking up at nighttime, you can see from his watch. And apparently he is living in his workplace. You can see a camera, a monitor, and a crowbar right there. So apparently he's sleeping there because I guess he doesn't really have a home because he just moved in. But there's a lot of junk around the place, so obviously he's pretty obsessed with this case and solving what Mr. Peterson is hiding, because he has a lot of missing posters around his place. And he really doesn't have like much else, pretty much. He's just kind of like discovering the case, which is basically what we're going to be doing in Hello Neighbor 2 anyways. So you can see he's like basically right next to the Peterson house, which is cool because you get a good view. Now here's something I really want to look at. Now, you can see that Nikki, Aaron, and Maya are missing. So all three are missing. That means that they don't know where any of them are. So basically this means that this, like I said before, that it could take place after Act 2. But because of this missing poster, it probably takes place during Act 2, and he'll probably like leave the house later in the game. Now we go into here. One thing to note is they have done a lot of optimization for this game. Now I don't know if this hand icon is going to be the final hand icon, but it is definitely like simplified from the other one. There's a lot of missing tape around the place, but you can see that it's a totally new model with a lot of different overall house design. So there's no door there anymore, and there's a lot of holes in the wall, so you can tell that this house is pretty messy. But it looks like the police are going to be in this house investigating Mr. Peterson. But I don't think they like Quentin as much because, I mean, obviously, he's not really doing a lot of legal stuff right now. He's breaking into people's houses. He's doing it for the greater good. But the police don't really like him. So you can see the door is actually unlocked. So the way you're going to get into the basement is actually by turning off like, on the car alarm. So then he's distracted. So there's a lot more, like, AI-based puzzles instead of just, like, oh man, find the key to the basement. It's much different now. So you can see that he has to open it very slowly. So I'm guessing you have to, like, really distract the cops to get them away so you have enough time to open the basement. Now here's the mayor's office. You can see that he has a dog, but I'm guessing you just have to evade him. He, like, barks at first, but then he kind of doesn't. I think it's because you're on the bush. And apparently dogs can't look upward. So you're probably going to have to grab that key. Here's an entry for the mayor's office, basically. And it looks like a little dome, but there is an open window for some reason. I wonder if you break that, or the fall damage looks decreased, because you did take fall damage for that, which is odd. So that's locked. It looks like there's a bedroom in there where the bear head is. So basically you need to get in there, apparently. You can see there's a magazine on his little desk there, little coffee table. So I'm guessing that will have some lore hints, likely, to what the mayor is thinking about all this. But I wonder what he's really going to be doing, because it looks like he's just slightly just enjoying music and eating. But I guess, oh yeah, you could see when he walked past, his back was kind of arched back, so I think he was getting a little tired from that music. Kind of odd, but it's a creative puzzle. So look, he just left the bedroom, so now you can kind of like get an entryway, basically. So that's how you get into the bedroom. You get a little better view of Quentin's office. So you can see he has like missing posters everywhere, and a lot of piled stuff, so you can tell he's really into this Peterson case. Now I want to look at this. This is pretty interesting. So Nikki's house, so you can tell, this is pretty interesting, how you can see progress within the game. So Nikki's actually gonna escape in the game. You can see a check mark right next to Nikki, as you see a line is traced to Nikki's house. So now, basically that means that either Quentin helped him escape, or Nikki escaped on his own. Now Maya is a check mark to the Peterson house, meaning Nikki probably broke the news, sadly. And Aaron's the only one that we have no idea where he is. But he's connected to Peterson, which is connected to the museum. So I think Quentin probably thinks that Mr. Peterson is in the museum. Which, I mean, that makes sense. Because where else would he be taking him? He can't keep him there, because obviously they're going to find him. So now there's a museum sign that basically got broken down. So I guess that's how you identify it's the museum. So the museum model has changed, or it's just from another angle. But there's like a lot of big balconies. So he's going in. It's pretty messy. You can see the mayor's key to the city, I'm assuming, which probably is the key that you saw before. Yeah, that is the key that you saw in the statue. I understand that now. Now you can see the skeleton has more like textures now, and also right behind the chair it has warning and a gas sign. So I guess you don't want to use gasoline on it. I'm assuming for the fire. You can see a bunch of paintings around here. So you can see a painting over there, which is the mayor sitting in a chair. So the mayor must be here for a while if he's in these pictures. But I wonder if it's Mayor Tavish or not. I'm guessing it's probably not Mayor Tavish. Now you can see this painting right here, which you saw Quentin had. So I'm guessing he probably just straight up steals that. So like Mr. Peterson appears to be fixing his car. And you can see there is no bright door with whispering and boarded up things down the hall. It's just replaced with a closet. So I'm guessing this is just like a canceled part of the game, which is pretty odd because that was like the main point of the like, deep dive trailer. So I guess they just kind of canceled that part. And you can see Mr. Peterson's arm just straight up glitches out. They said they have a lot of work to do, so it kind of makes sense why there'll be some bugs. That's why they're having a beta until the game really releases, which I will definitely be sure to be streaming. So make sure you guys subscribe so you guys can see when it comes out. Like, so I'll be playing it probably definitely the day it comes out at least. So you can see Mr. Peterson's actually watching stuff outside right now. So he also has this pretzel machine, I think, right there. So I think he's probably going to be watching us a lot, and he's going to be keeping an eye on us. Obviously he doesn't see us now, but I think he'll probably just be keeping track of people in Raven Brooks as he does stuff. Maybe even looking out for the guests. Unless he directly is the guest. We're just not fully sure if it's another Peterson, some weird time travel stuff, I don't know really. So you can see him walking. He's got a nice walk animation, and he also has very smooth transitions. So you guys can see there's a hole in the wall down there, and there's a pretzel right on top of that thing. So I'm guessing this is like was a gift shop, but it's basically his kitchen now, I'm pretty sure, because that's where the pretzel machine is, obviously. You can see Quentin is holding a paint can, so obviously he's still planning to do that thing he did in the deep dive trailer, which he'll probably just be doing pretty soon. Now there's a door up there with a big mystery light on it, so I bet that is a door we do need to get to, but I'm not sure how we get to it. Now you can see Mr. Peterson with a very creatively boarded up door, and I think this is just basically him watching TV. So he's gonna see it. He looks kind of tired almost. So the weird thing is that you do not see any music in this part. For some reason. Kind of cuts almost. Anyways, he falls down and he does take a good amount of fall damage. Now this part is where you will be able to see this barn over here, which I think is exactly where the guest comes in through. So basically the child, you can even see the child right over there to where the guest would be. So that's it overall for this trailer. Now we're going to move on to some Hello Neighbor 2 images on the website. I'm going to go through each image, show you guys different parts. Overall, I just want to go over the graphic design right now. So as I said before, the game was very much optimized, and you can tell it takes place during fall because of all the orange trees. Now this Peterson house, there was a few Peterson houses that were made, about 4 I think, and this one is the latest one that they're obviously using. So this new approach, it has sidewalks now, obviously. It's more flat terrain, it's more like put together basically, and you can see everything across Raven Brooks. Everything's pretty close, so I'm wondering what is in the outskirts and what's out there more. One thing I want to mention is they appear to be using a lot of Hello Neighbor 1 windows. So you can see the base windows, and you also have new ones that are just slightly different designed for those. So the Peterson house is like a little bit longer on the ends, but it's still around the same. They used that kind of design for Alpha 1, except it didn't have that big extension. So you can see missing posters down the street too, so they have a lot of stuff there. And the Peterson house has a bunch of lights on it, and crime scene tape, and just the police car. The next one is pretty dang important, okay? This is a big image that we see of Raven Brooks. So you can see the taxidermist's house right there, and you can see it says something, looks like no neighbors almost, like a no neighbor sign. It looks like it's like a no neighbor sign basically. You can see the inside of the house. It's still using like a widened Alpha 1, or not Alpha 1, full game windows. Now you can see this is kind of lower poly because of how far away it is, because of optimization, but you can see there's the museum sign, and there's a big chimney. You can also see the museum, or the mayor's office down there, and the lake right there. There's a little shack in the lake right there that you can see. I wonder what that'll be used for. So yeah, I'm guessing this Nikki's house is definitely a placeholder, because you can see this house right here is the same house from right here, so it's likely a placeholder. Now here's the barn. You can see this kind of barn thing, and I think this is where the guest tries to come and get you. You don't see the child from this angle, but in one of the other images, or in the video, you saw it. Now you can see there's a pathway going up to the amusement park. I'm just wondering if this place will be accessible. I really hope it will be, because I think that would be some cool stuff. And even in the description for Hello Neighbor 2, they said this mustache man going down to the amusement park, which is obviously Mr. Peterson. You can see a side view right here in the back of the house. I see something right here. I can't really tell what that is. And there's this kind of thing right here, and you can see from another image part of a garage. So I'm pretty sure this is where his garage is, I'm guessing. So I guess he added one. Now here's just an image of taxidermist. I'm guessing this is one of the tasks he'll be doing, chopping some wood. He's got this boarded up area for some reason, but it's not like fully boarded up, so I don't really know why it's like that. But you just gotta sneak through there, and he's got a little book there, and you can see a Hello Neighbor 1 with some new textures though. The window. Now here's the thing, a good view of the bakery. You can see inside of there, it looks like there'll just be a little nice area in there. Now from what I've seen, the bakery looks pretty nice, so I don't know if she'll really be that bad. Everyone has secrets though, and everyone's a suspect, as they said. So she's obviously got something to hide, but we don't know what. So here's just a better view of the baker. See, she looks innocent, but apparently not. Now you can see the picture of the dog. We don't actually know who this doggo is, what their name is, but obviously Ember does not like it. Here's just a picture of the mayor just jamming out, so I guess this is just one of the main distractions for him. He's got no CDs in there, so obviously he's just, dancing to silence. So here's a very nice image of the Ravenbrooks mirror. It used to be called the Ravenbrooks mirror, but they changed it to the Ravenbrooks banner, which is how it is in the books, and that makes total sense. So I don't know why they ever changed it in the first place. Now you can see, this is basically where Quentin's gonna be living, and it's just right next to the bakery. Here's just another distraction from the police officer, Officer Nielsen, as his name was revealed to be. So he just likes donuts apparently, and he's the main one guarding the basement, I'm assuming. I do not know how the other officer is going to be placed into this story, probably doing some separate stuff. Here's just an image of the baker baking. So I'm assuming she's going to be baking a lot in this game, and we're just going to be seeing that. So I wonder how that's going to take in the story. To add to this news, on CNET.com, they interview the developers of Hello Neighbor 2 and give a description. So, in this sequel, an independent journalist named Quentin moves to Ravenbrooks to learn more about this town's strange atmosphere and unsettling characters that reside there, which includes the returning antagonist Mr. Peterson. Just before the reveal of a new trailer and the announcement of an upcoming beta in 2022, I had the chance to speak to the developers at tinyBuild about the sequel to see an extended look at the horror stealth game. That's what it says. So, just like you're in the original game, you'll have to solve puzzles and sneak past the antagonist to uncover clues and make it out without being seen. Hello Neighbor 2 expands on the original game's concept of exploring a single mansion. The sequel opens up the entire town of Ravenbrooks up to explore, letting you interact with other characters that may have some ties to a larger mystery. There's more of a sense of freedom compared to the original game, and the map is almost 8 to 10 times larger than in the previous, said developers Alexei Kravchenko. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. There's a greater set of tools and gadgets to use to outsmart characters, and you can even drop the main investigation and just explore the town to uncover clues and secrets around the town. Though Hello Neighbor 2 is an unabashedly colorful aesthetic, similar to a Saturday morning cartoon, it is still thoroughly a horror game that seeks to build tension, and it does succeed in that regard. There's a noticeable eeriness in Hello Neighbor 2, effectively juxtaposing that mood with its inviting and cozy look. If the original Hello Neighbor is something akin to Ridley Scott's Alien, then Hello Neighbor 2 is a similar spirit to James Cameron's Aliens, which greatly expands on the agency you have in uncovering the mysteries while also heightening the danger in kind. In Hello Neighbor 2, there's much more of an element of learning each character's behavior and using it against them. During one segment of the demo, the protagonist encounters Mr. Otto, Ravenbrooks resident hermit in Mistletoe. He's always unfriendly, and if he catches you, he'll chase you off his property with his shotgun. From here, you can attempt to brute force your way into his house and find tools to use elsewhere, or you can sneak past him as he performs his daily activities, which includes target practice. Each character in Raven Brooks has a set schedule and agenda, which you can keep track of at your base. Sometimes it might be better to make moves during the evening, which can help keep you hidden. While Raven Brooks has an array of weird characters, Mr. Peterson is still the strangest of them all. Though the gameplay isn't an open end as immersive sims like Dishonored or Deus Ex, I don't know what those games are, there's still a sense of freedom in how you use your tools and knowledge in the environment that rewards your curiosity. And this approach to the sequel, which was a modest concept in an isolated setting, felt really intriguing. The sequel does a lot to expand lore and narrative that the franchise has grown over the years, which is fun to see play out in the game. So overall, this is pretty interesting. I like how they go into detail on what you can do in Ravenbrook, and it's also interesting how we know that the taxidermist's name is Mr. Otto. Mr. Otto Octavius Cough Cough. No. For another website on IGN, they interviewed the CEO of tinyBuild, Alex, and a few other of the devs. Here's what they said. When Hello 2 is released, players will be able to explore Ravenbrooks as they please, stepping into the shoes of the game's new protagonist. With that newfound freedom, one particular feature that is likely to become helpful in Hello 2 arrives in the form of a progress pin board. As opposed to a system where players can track their current missions through objectives in a menu screen, Hello 2's pin board reflects how your findings are more like clues than story beats. A pin board comes in effect when you happen across a clue in the game that may be useful towards the story's investigation. At this point, an indicator flashes up on Quentin's wristwatch that you have found something new and noteworthy, before the evidence is then automatically added to a pinboard in your office as a picture of the thing that you've discovered, which is going to help with Helleniver's tricky puzzles. So that's really interesting. I'm really glad they added that, so then people can automatically see some more stuff. With this, they also added a bunch of new images on the website, which I will go over in my image section. Here's another quote from IGN. During our conversation, the team spoke in detail about two of the characters that will feature in Hello 2. Unlike the first game, where antagonist Mr. Peterson acted hostile toward the player throughout the game's narrative, characters in Hello 2 will have a ranged behavior depending upon when and where you encounter them. Baker Gerda, which is the official name for the baker, showing off her signature cherry pie, which I will show in the image section. So apparently the baker's name is Gerda. So the person from IGN says this is the case for Baker Gerda, who I met during in-game bakery's operating hours. When we first came across Gerda, she was tending to the cash register and watching over her stock of baked goods. Here's the baker says, she's friendly to us because it's a public zone, so we can rock around and she won't be aggressive to us. A number of characters will have different daily routines depending on part of the day. For example, during the night, she may go upstairs to sleep on her bed, or she can do something suspicious or fishy that she doesn't want other people to know about. This is where our investigating takes place, and we might encounter things about characters that they didn't want us to know about. While a range of the NPC characters within Hello 2 have their own daily routines that players can uncover to aid their investigation, the game will also allow you to manipulate its characters through your interaction with them. In doing so, players in Hello 2 can, at times, trick the game's NPCs into crafting items for them that provide the tools necessary to bypass other NPCs that may be causing them trouble. Now that's interesting, because I wonder if that means that you can get a wrench or a crowbar just by getting somebody to make one. And I wonder if we'll be able to get a crafting system from buying stuff. I hope they add a store in the game so you can do that. To solve any small quest, you'll have to plan forward. For example, to go into the mayor's house, you maybe want to stop first by the baker to get some dog treats. Then, you can use these to distract the dog and then go inside. Or maybe if you want to befriend the police officer, you might give him some donuts so he'll be less aggressive to you, and he'll allow you to do your own investigation. There are all kinds of possibilities, and we tried to interconnect all the characters and things that they do. So that's interesting. So this way you don't even have to, be enemies with the police. You can actually just befriend them, and then they can help you. Now that is pretty cool. During our first preview of the game, we briefly touched on this by explaining that certain objects in the game will create temporary status effects that will hinder the game's AI for a brief period of time. However, in our most recent chat, Kravchenko, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, delved into this idea further, explaining that items in the game will have different effects on characters depending on who you use them on. For some characters, a cherry pie to the face might cause them to take a shower and distract them for a brief period of time. While for others, the same trick may be rendered useless as the character proceeds to wipe away the muck and continue to pursue you. That's interesting. I bet the taxidermist would probably not care as much. And somebody like Mr. Peterson, he usually does take a shower, so I'm assuming he'll probably do that. As well as showing off the town baker, the team were also keen to share more about the town's resident taxidermist, Mr. Otto. Mr. Otto lives on the outside of the village and he doesn't like intruders. Among the different areas of the town shown off during our gameplay preview, Mr. Otto's house certainly felt like one of the more sinister. Upon discovering the character, he stood in his garden with his loaded rifle at the ready. One of the things that we're really focused on is that you'll have to understand what this character is, what's different about them, and what approach you'll have to use with the character. For example, since Mr. Otto is very dangerous and he shoots at you, you might have to be very stealthy with him, whereas other characters might require you to distract them with sound or scare them to death. So overall, there are a lot of things that you can work with. The neighborhood watch. Just because you have more means of fighting AI characters doesn't mean that they won't fight back. In order for enemy characters to pose a constant threat to players, Hello Neighbor 2 features self-learning AI. One of the game's developers goes into how Hello Neighbor 2 is going to balance the difficulty of the game, which is something that people were kind of worrying about with the AI, like is it going to be too hard or something. One of the developers says, ensuring that you get the balance right in terms of the game's difficulty. One of the biggest challenges, design-wise, is not to just make a Terminator that is better than you at all time and is too optimized, because that wouldn't be fun anymore. So the AI should be a worthy opponent to you and accommodate to your playstyle and how skillful you are. With a number of different AI characters set to launch with the game, it will be certainly interesting to see how each of the Hello Neighbor 2's different characters respond to their environments, especially as they learn more about player behavior. While the team did briefly discuss their plans to grow the game post-launch by adding new characters in the mix at a later date, they weren't able to share any further details at this time. All these articles are very interesting in how this game will work. I'm pretty interested in how the full game is going to act, because it seems like the devs are doing all the right things so far. So I'm pretty excited. Now we're going to go to the images and go into detail on what each one means.